Probability is a branch of mathematics that describes chance outcomes. One of its basic terms is an experiment. It is an activity with an observable result. What I am doing right now is I am rolling a die. In here, I am flipping a coin. So these activities, flipping a coin and rolling a die, are what we call an experiment. And the result of the experiment is what we call the outcome. So after rolling a die, the result is 2. It can be 2 again. It can be 6. These results are what we call the outcome. In flipping a coin, the result can be tails. It can be tails again. It can be another tails. Or it can be a heads. So these results are what we call the outcome. And the set of all possible outcomes of an experiment is what we call the sample space. And the subset of this sample space is what we call the event. So it is just a part of the sample space. So example, let's say we have an experiment here tossing a coin. How are we going to write its sample space? So it is written in this way. S is equal to a curly bracket, H and T, where H and T here represents the heads and tails respectively. Because we know for a fact that a coin has only two sides, a heads and a tails. In our second experiment, for example, we're going to roll a die. Our sample space can be written this way. S is equal to a curly bracket, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because we know that a die is a cube, and the cube has 6 faces containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In our third experiment, for example, if we're going to toss a coin twice, so our sample space would be S is equal to HH, HT, TH, and TT. Why? Since we are tossing a coin twice, so in our first toss, let's say the result or the outcome is H. And in the second toss, the result or the outcome is heads again. So our first set is HH. Now, it can be in our first toss, it is a heads. Then for our second toss, it is a tails. So our second set here is heads and tails. Or if in our first toss, the outcome is tails, and in our second toss, the outcome is heads. So our another set is tails and heads. Head tails and tails heads are different. Or it can be in our first and second toss, it can be both tails. So the set is tails, tails, or T, T. So we only have 4 possible outcomes. So this will be our sample space for tossing a coin twice. And lastly, if we're going to toss a coin and roll a die, so this will be our sample space. So our heads can be paired with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or if in our tossing of a coin, let's say if the result is T, it can be paired with 1 of a die, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So in here, our possible outcomes are all 12, and the set is called the sample space. And this is how it is written.